right, to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. past 2 o'clock. We thank you so much for joining us on this other edition of the News Today, Tuesday. We begin right away with our magistrates, family members of the 5 delegates whose remains were recently exhumed in the Makobe village in Ekondo Titi have expressed mixed feelings with regards to receiving the corpses tomorrow. They say it will be difficult for them to decipher which skeletons belong to which family or individual. The official ceremony to hand over the corpses to the various families concerned has been slated for tomorrow at the Centenary Stadium in Limbe. We met with some of the aggrieved family members and we'll be telling you more in this edition of the news. And out of Cameroon, 20 persons have been killed after jihadists launched an attack in Burkina Faso. Viewers, those are our major stories. Welcome back, viewers. We thank you so much for always according us your time every 6 p.m. for the news in the English language. My name is Anna Bilaliku. We told you in the headlines a while ago that family members of the delegates murdered in the Indian division have said they want proper investigations and why not a DNA to be carried out before they can receive the remains of their relations which were exhumed over the weekend in Ekondo Titi. Our reporter Smart Ndikan Gabriel visited some of the aggrieved families in Kumba and Boya, the family of Felician Dong and Agbo Stephen, respectively, who are still in shock.
Notwithstanding the wet and foggy climate in Bukwai village of Boya, Equinoxe television crew was at the family residence of one of the divisional delegates who was killed at Makobe village in Ekondo Titi. Upon our arrival, His Majesty Professor Agbo Bechem, brother to Agbo Stephen Yenti, Divisional Chief of Service for Survey, Ekondo Titi, who was killed, told us that the family has been in great difficulty since he was kidnapped, as they spent much money to free him.
From the day he was kidnapped on the 15th of June 2021, the family has been on the move, struggling to see how we can get him back. We have spent a considerable amount of money. Some of those boys, whether they were faking themselves to be the boys or not, kept calling my number, and I kept calling the family to see whether we can redeem him.
The hopes of the Yenti family meeting their brother finally died down when Clinton, the repentant separatist fighter, confessed about the fate of the divisional delegates they had kidnapped.
Actually, on the 7th of July 2023, when the media finally broke out the news about this guy who dropped his arms, it has touched us quite much. And since then, the family has been in pain, in great pain, really, really great pain.
As it stands, the family is hoping that the government will let the wife to collect the social insurance benefits of the husband. Agbo Stephen Yenti, Divisional Chief of Service for Survey, Ekondo Titi, left behind a wife and 3 kids to mourn him. Over in Kumba, Equinoxe was at the Ntoko Street neighborhood in Kumba 2 subdivision, where the Divisional Delegate of Housing and Urban Development, Ekondo Titi, Madame Felician Dong's family compound is located. At the compound, the family told us they were not prepared to talk to anyone, owing to the fact that the mother of Felician Dong is a cardiac patient. Off camera, the head of the family, who is based out of the country, told Equinoxe TV that identifying artificial hair and handbag on one of the bodies wasn't enough to prove that it was their sister. He is urging the government to do thorough tests on the bones before sending to the family, or if possible, they send to him the bones to do the test. It is only with that condition they will accept the leftover of their sister, Felicia Ndong. Even though Felicia Ndong's family are contesting, government has planned to hand the bones that they recovered at Makobe village to the different families this Wednesday in a ceremony to be organized in Limbe.
You said it right, Smart. In such reports, the official ceremony to hand over the remains of the delegates, which were exhumed from the Makobe village in the Ndian division, will take place tomorrow. That would be at the Limbe Centenary Stadium. The ceremony will begin at 9 a.m. according to the official program. And you have there on your screens a preparatory meeting which took place earlier today in Limbe. It was presided over by the governor of the Southwest region, Bernard Okala Belai. The meeting is coming at a time some family members are saying that proper investigations should be done before handing over the remains to the bereaved families. Our sincere condolences to those who lost their relations in the Ekondo Titi incident. And now, still talking about the Anglophone crisis, political actors, civil society leaders, and observers say the more a variable solution to the crisis tarries, the more radicalized actors get. They fear the worst might not have been seen in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon yet. For me, I'm Tom Sander. Tells us more.
Political leaders, civil society actors and observers are unanimous that what began as corporate revendications in 2016 has seen one of the fastest metamorphoses in related crises across the globe. 7 years down the line, the crisis, now armed conflict, has killed some over 6,000 persons, displaced over 600,000 with an untold social and economic devastations. Njang Dennis, national president of the Popular Action PAP political party, fears that the worst may not have been seen in the northwest and southwest English-speaking regions of Cameroon yet.
We have kidnapping for ransoms, targeted killings, roadblocks and all the like. I don't think that was the stand of the Amber leaders from the onset like Seseko. But when the government blocked them, we now realize that all possibilities of dialogue was blocked, and radicals or not radicals, extremists took over, and we are now seeing whatever we are seeing today. And today is not even a crisis. This time around, we hear of killings, we hear of unnecessary roadblocks. Anglophones are now being targeted. Yes, the so-called separatists are now targeting the fellow Anglophones, cut them for ransom. They use us to settle scores on those sufferings and all the like. So to me, I am really disappointed with the situation in which it are today.
He says the more a veritable solution tarries, the more actors get radicalized.
So to a certain level, I will blame the government, because if from the onset the government would have given a listening ear, we wouldn't have gone into this stage, because from the onset we saw the willingness of some Anglophone elites. Even the Catholic Church, I know of several letters written by the Catholic Church, the late Christian Kanantumi, in his effort to organize the All Anglophone Conference too. We have seen several efforts made even by our partners of the international community to see how they could mediate.
The political actor is unanimous with civil society actor Njom Emmanuel that neglect and to an extent bad faith brought the crisis to the stage where it is today.
It is sorrowful and sad because these are things that could be avoided. And the silence of the government over it makes the matters worse.
They, however, believe that a quick and veritable solution is still possible and lies more in the hands of the government in Yaoundé.
And now over to something else. It has been raining heavily across Cameroon, especially here in the economic capital. Douala traders at the Ndokoti market described the rains or the heavy rains witnessed in Douala as a major hindrance to their activities, given that customers now stay back at home for fear of getting wet. Those dealing in perishable products say they have incurred enormous economic losses, as Immaculate Fogwe tells us in this report.
It's been raining intensely for over 6 hours. Traders selling goods in this open-air market in Dokoti are seated under their umbrellas, meditating and praying that God sends them customers. Due to the heavy rains, business activities have been disrupted. When it rains, people don't consume oranges. Sometimes we are forced to auction our oranges so it doesn't get bad. There are no customers. Things are really difficult for us. One of the traders dealing with second-hand clothes says since the month of July, he barely makes any meaningful sales because of the rains. It is really hard to sell our goods. We come to the market, spread our clothes, and as soon as you hope to start selling, the rain starts. You have to later cover your clothes with a plastic bag so it doesn't get wet. Apart from the rains, which is affecting sales, access to the Ndokoti market has become very difficult due to traffic congestion provoked by the ongoing rehabilitation works. Traders are hoping that the rainy season ends soon so that business returns to normal. It should be noted that the National Climate Observatory warns of floods, mudslides and other natural disasters in some cities in Cameroon in the month of August.
And over to Ezeka, where the life of a young businessman in his 40s is said to be hanging on the balance as a result of torture he is said to have suffered during his detention at the Ezeka Principal Prison following a case pitting him and a senior army officer. His family is decrying the violation of the rights of Thomas Stepp, and they are pleading for the intervention of the head of state, as Babila Jonathan tells us in this report.
8 months, hundreds of machete strokes on the soles of his feet. Family sources talk of 600 strokes with a machete on the soles of the feet of Thomas Stepp. This is qualified as inhumane treatment of Thomas during his detention in the Ezeka Principal Prison in the central region of Cameroon. His nightmare started with a case between him and a senior Cameroonian army officer. He worked with the senior army officer for 10 years. According to the family, both men fell out when Thomas began claiming his right. He was then thrown into jail for breach of trust. He was later released but an arrest warrant and a travel ban issued against him. We are told by family sources that another person with whom he had a land sale business deal worth 3 million francs CFA used the arrest warrant issued against Thomas to prevent him from claiming the money. 2 days after his stay in the State Defense Secretariat in Yaoundé, he was transferred to the Ezeka Principal Prison. May 27, 2022, he was slammed a 2-year jail term, January 12, 2021, and fines of 15 million and 300 million francs CFA of damages to be paid to the civil party.
Sans que la prison, la famille ne soit au courant, sans que la famille ne puisse l'accompagner.
His younger brother decries the fact that he was chained and his family denied access to him. Thomas' medical report shows that the torture he suffered in the Ezeka Principal Prison provoked severe health complications.
Le gars commença à rejeter le sang.
He began vomiting and defecating blood, while the soles of his feet started decomposing. From Ezeka, he was taken through the Ntui prison to the Yoko Detention Center. Accusing fingers are pointing to the superintendent of the Ezeka Principal Prison at the time, Lionel Uslem Tenekefu. Lionel Teneke was later transferred to the Monatele prison. Questioned by Equinoxe TV, he avoided responding to the accusations against him, describing Thomas as a dishonest person. He also cast doubts on the number of strokes he is said to have received during his detention in the Ezeka Principal Prison. The lawyer of Thomas Stepp filed a case of torture and complicity in torture in the Ntui Court of First Instance. Though put under medical attention, his relatives are expressing grave concerns for his life. They are sending distress calls to the President of the Republic.
And locals of Campina in the Mungo division of the Litwa region are complaining of a drop in the standards of living in that area due to epileptic energy supply. It is adversely affecting their businesses, they say. Water scarcity has also worsened the already poor living conditions of those living in Campina. Innocent Aze has more.
Approaching Campina in the Mungo division of the Littoral region, the locality seems to be a lucrative place from a distance. That is not the case. The reverse is true. However, inhabitants here are not lazy. They might be idle, but just victims of frequent power cuts, since most of them rely on electricity to run their businesses.
We are not able to train our children because of light problem. So even now like this, there is no light and I cannot walk, so I have to go around strolling.
I cannot tell lies. We have never got a light consecutively for 2 weeks straight. Impossible. So the light here is just on and off, on and off. Before we heard that the light was taken from Banga, but because of on and off light failure, they have to switch it to Suza. From Suza, since they switch it, we have still been having the same problem.
The impact on their income generation is enormous.
We lost a lot. Here we do also marking, and the marking will go only with lights. So there are also customers that when they come, they will even abandon the dress or even take their dress away because they will not work it in time because of light. Instead, it's at night that the light will come. So the light at night will not do anything to us because at night you have to sit and rest.
Goods that we have put in a fridge have get bad because of light failure, and we no longer do business with those that keep store fish in their fridges, does not store it any longer because of light failure.
Households have thus experienced a drop in standard of living, a situation marked by a water crisis that has persisted for years.
In Compena here, we don't even have pipe-borne water. We manage from the stream and also with the forage. That's where we have been managing to get water to drink. When you go right now in the stream, you see so many children struggling to fetch water, and the water is not even good.
As concerns these two main issues, the locals implore should be addressed by authorities, stressing this will go a long way to raise their living condition and enable them live in absolute security, even if they have to keep late hours.
And now over to politics. Limbe 1 SCF Electoral District Chairperson Gordon Dengue Zama has declared his intention to replace the late chairman of the SCF Nation Fronti. In a press briefing in Limbe, he says he is up to the task and ready to face any other challenger. Davidson Maimo is on that beat.
The declaration of 38-years-old Gordon Dengue Zama for the SDF top position took many by surprise. The Limbe 1 SDF Electoral District Chairperson, in a press conference, assured SDF militants, supporters and sympathizers that he has what it takes to become the new SDF National Chairman.
I think that is a challenging task, but I was not competent. If I didn't believe in myself, I wouldn't have put in my heart. So I believe that I can bring about a great change to the party. I believe that I can build the militancy and the base of the party. I believe that I stand a better chance of taking the SDF to where the likes of Nous, Fronti, Professor Nyowake and the rest want the SDF to be.
However, he cautioned the investiture committee of the SDF to allow SDF militants to exercise their right freely.
I think the investiture committee has ended the dreams of many aspiring militants of the party prematurely. For example, I'm declaring my candidacy here today, but it's possible that the investiture committee will say Zama cannot be the chairman of the party. And for me particularly, I don't think he has any place in the SDF.
Question on solving the Anglophone crisis if he becomes the new party chair. The young politician says he will not reveal his strategy due to selfish interest from some persons who are using the crisis to enrich themselves.
Either the separatists or the government will attack us now because there are clearly people who are benefiting from the war. And they have an interest at stake to ensure that we fight this war forever. So they want the war to continue. Apart from those people, there is no other person in Cameroon that wants this war to continue. So putting the paramount interest of the Cameroonian nation ahead will keep our political agenda close to our chest.
The dice for the SDF chairman position has just been cast, as we shall be expecting to see more declaration the days ahead.
And today, August 8, 2023, makes it exactly 109 years since Rudolf Douala Mangabell and his secretary Adolf Ngosodin were executed by hanging by German colonialists. Celebrating this day, the Doualas gathered at the esplanade of the Marine Marchand in Bonanjo to pay homage to them. Let's now have more with Lucille Yengu Isie.
Natives of the Canton Bell clan, traditional and administrative authorities, gathered at the esplanade of Marie Marchand in Bonanjo, Douala 1 subdivision, to celebrate the life of Rudolf Douala Mangabell. He fought to liberate Cameroonians and also for the peace and unity of our fatherland. Rudolf Douala Mangabell, with his relative and secretary Ngosodin, were executed by hanging on same day, 8th of August, 1914 at 5 p.m. It is therefore a tradition for the Sawa people to remember him every 8th of August as a martyr and hero in the history of Cameroon. It is the 109th anniversary of the hanging of King Rudolf Douala Mangabell and his relative Ngosodin. As part of activities carried out this day were rituals, singing to pay homage to Rudolf Douala Mangabell, who rebelled against German rule and fought for Cameroon's independence. The Doualas equally made a stopover at the vault of King Bell in Bonanjo and the graveyard at Njonjo, Bonaprizo, where Ngosodin was buried. Wreaths were placed on their graves as a symbol of remembrance. Cameroon will always remember Rudolf Douala Mangabell as one of the resistance to German colonization who rebelled against the oppressive German rule.
And now we take you out of our national frontiers, viewers. Over 20 people have been killed in a jihadist attack in Burkina Faso. The attack in northeastern Burkina Faso adds to more than 5,000 people who have been killed in similar attacks in that country since January. In the Central African Republic, President Faustin Archange Touadéra has won the referendum. The president won with a score of over 95%. For me, Armstrong Sander has the details.
More than 95% of voters in the Central African Republic have approved a new constitution that could extend the president's term of office, according to the committee in charge of overseeing the referendum. The proposed new constitution was approved by 95.21% of the country's nearly 2 million registered voters. The results of the constitutional referendum held on July 30th are provisional, according to the Referendum Operations Committee. The new constitution allowed President Faustin Archange Touadéra's opponents, who accused him of wanting to stay in power forever, had challenged the reform which would abolish the two-term limit and extend the presidential mandate from 5 to 7 years, meaning that the time that a candidate will serve as president will be unlimited. Civil society organizations and armed rebel groups had also called for a boycott of the ballot, but the vote took place in a peaceful atmosphere, according to the observation mission of the Economic Community of Central African States, ECAS. Over in West Africa, around 20 people were killed in a suspected jihadist attack in Burkina Faso, according to security and local sources. The Sunday attack in the Central East region near the Togolese border killed around 20 people, mostly traders. More than 16,000 civilian troops and police have died in jihadist attacks, according to a non-governmental organization count, including more than 5,000 since the start of this year in Burkina Faso. More than 2 million people have also been displaced within their country, making it one of the worst internal displacement crises in the African continent.
And that was what we put together for you on this edition of the news. Don't go away, viewers. Talking Points comes up next. Stay with us. Welcome back, viewers. We continue talking about the Anglophone crisis, and our guest tonight is Mr. Njang Dennis. He is the president of the People Action Party of Ayapo Abini. Thank you so much, Mr. Njang Dennis, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. We are talking about the Anglophone crisis because it seems there is still no light at the end of the tunnel, especially with what we just witnessed in Ekono Titi, the exhumation of the corpses of the 5 delegates. Njang Dennis, thank you again. What was your immediate impression when you got the news that the corpses or the skeletons of the delegates were found somewhere in the Nzan division?
Thank you very much, Madam, for that question. Yes, the kidnapping of those 6 divisional delegates and their disappearance has been a call for concern. I think myself, on several occasions, I've gone on air to call the government attention to clarify Cameroonians on the whereabouts of those delegates. It has really raised a lot of eyebrows on the mind of many Cameroonians, while it took so long for the government to give an official statement. Well, it is quite unfortunate